Hello, good morning, and good day. Happy beginning of the working days of our week, and hopefully, well, we are grinding out the month of May, and to many who are in paid employment, we are beginning to anticipate the returns on our investments of energy, of mental, emotional, financial resources. We are continuing our discussions on the research all round to everything. And we have established it here. Of course, it's an established and accepted fact that nothing changes except via the high and byways of research. If living conditions have improved, it is because of purposeful investment of effort on the part of those who have to do what they have to do. Everything you see around, compared to what used to be, you see significant, in fact, mind-blowing changes, improvements. Well, we are not saying here that everything we see now works better than what we used to see. Not in all the cases. So we are looking at research on which hangs the growth, the development, infrastructurally, and in terms of human populations. So far, we have come through chapters 1 to 2 and 3. We are looking at the model of academic project that is done at the level of tertiary education, from ND2 to HND2 to first degree to postgraduate diploma and other qualifications that are stacked on this. So our chapter 3 helps us to identify a research design to what we are doing. In other words, it is this model of investigation, this plan or blueprint that will be implemented in the course of this investigation. In other words, my investigation will follow this path. So, it can be qualitative, we have said, can be quantitative. You can use mixed methods. And please try and justify your choice. Just one sentence can do that for you. This particular design has been selected because it is established that it does this and does that. That's all you need to do. But there's always a why, especially at higher degree levels. Maybe even at first degree, HND, some I will not say overzealous now. One supervisor or a member of the panel of defense constituted to take students through the work they have done could just ask you. I've been at project defense programs where somebody just asks, please distinguish between dedication and acknowledgement. And sometimes it can throw some fellow off balance. And at the end, you'll be asking, why He didn't ask me for this. He didn't ask me for why. What does this mean? And they ask you what kind of materials will you find in the appendix section of a project, of a research work. So every aspect of research is important. So we don't take anything for granted. And they ask you, you say, okay, I've chosen to use a longitudinal research design. And they ask you why. In other words, please justify your choice. We have looked at population, the universe, the sample, and different techniques you can apply to filter out the number of persons, places, or objects on which that will now become representative of the larger parent group from which they are drawn. At the end of the day, whatever you do, the outcomes will be fed back. You integrate it backwardly to the larger population by extrapolation or by generalization. That's why we take a sample, and on the basis of what the sample yields, the measurements, we go treat the parent population same that way. So we mentioned probability sampling, also mentioned non-probability, and that you just look at your work and determine how best, under the guidance of your supervisor and some other persons in the faculty or department who have good experience in this area. That's why if you go to some higher institutions, you find that new entrants into lecturing are not allowed to supervise, because experience plays a vital role in these matters. It took us some effort to correct the impression that some young, exuberant lecturers, they give you some students to supervise, and after approving their topics, the students will normally ask you, sir, now that you have approved this topic, what do I do next? And we had to take time to counsel people that after approving a topic, the next thing is not, the next thing is to not ask your supervisees to go and bring abstract. There's no way that works. It's contrary to logic, to the logic of investigation. What do you mean abstract? How can he know? Even when you are clairvoyant, you will not know what the abstract of your work will look like. And some will say, go and bring table of contents. Isn't that funny? You can simply let me see an outline of how you wish to carry out this thing. What do you mean by table of contents? Contents not generated yet. Usually it is your finished work that determines the pagination. And you can now say, if you go, literature review is from pages 5 to 23. That's how you can know. Unless the fellow is copying from an already finished work. A colleague during those days, PhD class, he wanted to prove a point that he was faster than us, those of us in the group. So before we knew it, he was scheduled for proposal defense. And at higher education, once you do a proposal presentation, you're already uphill somewhere. You're looking at downhill, the valley where you can see where you are going. Proposal is chapters 1 to 3. We're shocked. Some of us were still busy fine-tuning our topics and things, and this guy was was scheduled for proposal defense. Well, we all went and arranged, because usually when you are on the hot seat, sometimes you are not quite organized and coordinated to take notes as they critique your work and make different things. So we had arranged ourselves. Okay, you will help take down notes of observations and corrections and suggestions that are made by the faculty. We're shocked. After he made his presentation, the readers, they now say, okay, let's hear from the readers before we throw it open. One guy stood up and said, well, I don't know. I read this thing, but when I saw abstract, and he said, and I was asking myself, is it that I'm not familiar with the structure of a PhD work, or what, or is this an innovation? So I don't know. I want to bring to the attention of the faculty that I don't know how do we interpret abstract in a proposal. The second reader said, well, I was going to make that same observation, and that's what killed the guy's work. They just canceled the presentation, canceled the work, and gave him a new topic. He denied, of course, denied that he was copying from anywhere. But they said, how do you know chapter 4 analysis and the findings, and then to because when you write abstract, everything you have done is reflected. Oh, I tested 3 hypotheses. I used this sample out of this population. I had this design. These are my findings. This is the recommendation. I had all that. So it was a very saddening experience. It was so bad that even the refreshment he brought, people did not take. Everybody just left the place, because what are you refreshing? So what are we saying here? That you need experience as a supervisor to guide, to serve as a guide. As a supervisor is a guide. It's a guide. Because at the end of the day, when you are defending, whether all those departmental faculty, before you now get to the external defense, the questions that will normally come will be addressed to you. In fact, somewhere in the when we're doing our PhD, that was when in the university they now prohibited the practice of writing the name of your supervisor on your project for internal defense. Because in those days, those hot days, when the thing got too hot, the student will look in the direction of his supervisor, and supervisor will try to make a case. So they say, we don't want to know who the supervisor, don't put the name. And they will say, student, answer this question. This question is for you. It's not for your supervisor. Will say, but I'm the one supervisor. They say, yes, you're only a guide. You are not to answer for him. Let him answer. So yes, supervisor, we will encourage you to make efforts and understudy other. People will say, where do you get experience if you are not allowed? Understudy. In fact, that's why they have usually 2 supervisors. You have the major, and you have, well, we call him minor, whatever he is. You have a major supervisor, and you have the support. So don't hurry to take on project supervision. You need experience. Then we are looking at data collection tools or methods. Data. We'll be talking of data later. Maybe, okay, let's talk about data later. Well, let's look at data collection as a tool. Then subsequently, we'll be looking at types of data, talking about ordinal and ratio and all of those things. But for now, there are quite a number of data collection instruments or tools you can use. Some say data collection methods, some say tools, some say techniques. Whatever you call it, it is a means to an end. What we are saying now is a means to an end. And what is the end? The end is acquisition, gathering of information, of raw data that you can later process to become information. So we have the most common is the questionnaire. This is the most common. The most common. The one students are familiar with is the questionnaire. What's a questionnaire? A questionnaire is a set of question items which are carefully crafted. Because at the end of the day, you craft your questionnaire. Well, you may not. You need not have the expertise. Someone can help you, and there are already designed, standardized, tested banks of question items that you can patronize. But don't forget, whatever happens, you are always required to customize your questionnaire to the problem and to the situation. It might have been designed by an American or a Russian or a Ukrainian or an African. That doesn't matter. But when you design, it's just like any fashion style. They are designed to body types, body types. And we don't have, there's universal body type. Really? Oh, sure. They say you have the endomorphic. The endomorph. The endomorph is robust, is chubby, is rotund. I'm careful, I don't want to say fat. But I've said so. That's the endomorph. It has size. Endo. That's why if you go to fashion houses now and they look at you and say, okay, for some of us who have small frames, you see that small, we hardly use large. But now you'll see sometimes three X's, extra large. There are people in that category. For those, if you are a student listening to us and you are in a final year, when you get to your National Youth Service orientation camp, you see what I'm talking about. Because the storehouse is filled. They receive supplies from the tailors to whom the contracts are given to fashion uniforms for youth corpers. So you go there and they begin to check which one is your size. So you have the endomorph, fat. You have the mesomorph, muscular. Yeah, it has a big frame, but it's all muscle and bone. The endomorph is also muscle and bone, but more flesh, more fat than all the other ones. Then you have the ectomorph. Yeah. These are standardized things. The ectomorph is lean. Is slim and lean. It's lean. It's smallish in stature. The physique. It's smallish. And if you see them in films, you'll see what I'm talking about. You see them in films, they are usually the eggheads in any group, especially maybe a group of adventurists get missing somewhere. It's the one everybody bullies, and usually he wears glasses because he's either long-sighted or short-sighted. And if you check They have been typified in stories, in drama. They are the ones who possess brain power. They might have been bruised and tossed here and there by other members of the group, but when it comes to survival, how do we get out of this fix in the jungle or one tunnel and they have missed their way, how to come out? It's usually that ectomorph that uses brain power. And the endomorph, the big one, they always have to cajole and pet to get him or get her to be able, no, we need to leave this spot, we need to leave this spot. Say, I'm tired. Yes, you can see because of the size. So we have all these standard sizes. So you don't go and say, do this for me. You tie it to a location. You tie it to a problem. Yes, this questionnaire has been used in America, but I'm trying to apply it in Nigeria. So I'm going to relate it to the situation in Nigeria and maybe change some of the items. So you find that questionnaire, it's a very handy tool to obtain information. Depending on the complexity of your investigation, generally your questionnaire will have 2 sections. Generally, it could have more than 2 sections. There are people who structure their questionnaires such that each major variable being investigated is accommodated in a section of its own. At the end of the day, you know how to work them out. So, but broadly, you have 2 sections to your questionnaire. Question A or section 1, whatever you want to call it, section A is for the you are looking at specific characteristics of the persons or things, as the case may. Of course, things don't feel questionnaire as humans. So you are looking at demographics. You are talking of age. You are talking of gender, where people say sex, not gender, because gender is a socio-cultural ascription which is tied to sex. So male, female, sex. Then qualification, for instance, and sometimes work experience, marital status, sometimes maybe earning power. If your research touches on that, you want to know the income distribution range. That would be section A. Then section B will contain items that are directly related to the variables, to the issues you are investigating. One thing that goes for research, which actually even enhances the credibility, the reliability, validity, we're talking about that. I know we have mentioned some things in relation to them before, is the level of confidentiality it promises to respondents. How much confidentiality, how much protection do I get? So that's a matter, because there are ethical issues which we discussed long ago, ethical issues that are related to research work. So it's not like, that's why respondents are never required to fill in their names. It's anonymous. The thing is faceless. No names. So you can't ask me to put my name. I will not. In fact, it's alien to the issue of confidentiality. It doesn't, to the ethics. We don't ask. And any respondent specific information, I mean, you try to avoid it. You don't say I should put my salary. You create a blank space and say I should fill my salary there. No. That would be an infringement. It's an invasion of my privacy. But but suppose you need information relating to my earning power. The best you can do that will guarantee or enhance the confidentiality we're talking about is to group or lump or create a range. You know, the options are normally lettered A, B, C, D. So maybe you now say, maybe you say your annual income. That's what you're interested in. A will be 5,000, 50,000 to 100,000. Maybe monthly income, not zero. Maybe 1,000 naira to 5,000. A, B, 6,000 naira to 10,000. Remember, we are saying weekly. 11,000 to 15. That's how you do it, and group them. Then somewhere along the line, I find that my salary is 16,000 plus. And now I look at the options and I see D, 16,000 to 20,000. Then I tick D. Yes, I am protected in that group because the group doesn't say my salary is 16,000 naira a month. I'm only in that group. So I am assured that that the information cannot be used against me. You know, that's why you find that before you even go out to distribute your questionnaire, or as you go, a letter of solicitation is attached that introduces you to your would-be respondent. Dear respondent. Of course, it shows your school address, the contact, your affiliation. Department of Mechanical Engineering, Federal University of Technology, Akure, to whom it may concern. I put my name, a 400 level or 500 level student of social department in social institution. And this is what I'm investigating this phenomenon. I will appreciate your cooperation by responding truthfully to the items. Then at the bottom, I guarantee utmost confidentiality that this, whatever you share with me, will not be shared with a third person. So that's what happens. That's what you do with your questionnaire. That's section A for the respondent related items. Specific, respondent specific. Then there are other broad things that seek my views, my perception, my opinion, and all of that the other questionnaire items. And your questionnaire should have a name. It usually has a name that is coined from your research topic. My questionnaire could be National Youth Service Scheme Integration Questionnaire. National Youth Service Scheme Integration Questionnaire, because that's my topic. So, and then you now take the first letters to create an acronym. So that wherever that questionnaire is used, if it has been used in America, now it's being used in Nigeria, and the new heading you give to it relates it to a location, relates it to a situation, to a problem setting. Influence of parental or role of parental choice on parental influence on career choice of students. So my questionnaire will be parental influence on career choice questionnaire. So I'm not going to have P, I, C, something. Parental influence on career choice and all of that. So that's the questionnaire. And if you do it very well, it's very handy and it's very useful. It delivers. It's a valid tool. Valid. We'll talk about that, about validity and all the things that are tied to it. And you need a well-designed questionnaire does not require researcher to interpret or explain. But once in a while, you may have to do that, depending on the kind of sample, the population from which you draw your sample. There are those you may have to interpret, explain what you want done. But if you do your questionnaire well, that intervention is reduced. So questionnaire is a data collection tool. Interview is another tool or technique or instrument that you can use to get information. And you have structured or unstructured interview. What do we mean by this? Well, interviews is a question and answer session that you have with your respondents or interviewees. If you use structured questions, what it means is that your questions are carefully selected and crafted. Each answer leads to another that takes you deeper into the phenomenon, concept, principles, practice that you are investigating. You ask a question, the individual answers, and then you have arranged the questions in such a way that if he gives a no answer, this is a follow-up question. If he gives a yes answer, you have this follow-up question already arranged. It's structured, and you are guided by that arrangement you have. But if it's unstructured, it's like allowing chance. Yeah, I allow chance to dictate what I do. I ask you a question. As you answer it, it gives me an idea of further questions I will ask. And sometimes as you are going, say, okay, please, let me quickly ask you this one before I forget. It's this statement you just made now just provoked this question in my mind. But if it is structured, you are following what you have written down. I will ask you question 1. It will take us to question 2. And if question 2 answer is no, I will ask you this. If it's yes, I ask you this. But if it's unstructured, we are just discussing, man, saying things, and I ask you a question and you give me an answer. And the answer you have given me creates further questions that I will ask you. That's what you do. You need some level of maturity to manage unstructured interview arrangement. You need maturity. So I want to advise you that if you are going to use interview method, please write out the questions you are going to ask. In fact, there are some interviewees who will request that you send the questions to them in advance so they can prepare the answers. You send the questions. Now with email and many things you can do, you can even email your interview questions to prospective interviewees, and they answer and respond to you via email too, or voice notes, as the case may be. So, interview is a data collection tool. We have experiments for quantitative. If your design is quantitative, there are pure experiments. There is the quasi, the American will say quasi, the quasi experiment. They are straightforward to validate, to establish, to approve, to disprove. Experiment will do it for you, provided you understand how you handle it. You have your experimental group, you have the control group, all of those things, you know how to manage them. So experiment. There are some, well, generally experiments are time bound. They are time bound. Once you start the process, you follow through. Any gaps in the things you do can become a gap that a prospective researcher will see later, and that you allow this time between this step and this step, and they think that significant hurt or damage has been introduced by that lapse, and that they are now going to do a more controlled experiment to make their contributions. Survey method is a data collection method too. Even though it's a design, it's a data collection thing. You can survey. And remember, when you survey, you are dealing with quite a number of items. Probably widespread. You can apply a survey data collection method. Go from point to point to collect what you are collecting. That's why you find that usually you need trained assistants to help you in administration of data collection packages. You normally will need some helpers. Then we have observation. Observation is a data collection method too, and you need experience, you need maturity. You have participant observer. What does this mean? You join the group you are observing. You join them to do what they are doing. So you are a participant observer. Maybe I want to find out, okay, let's leave participant stroke non-participant. I want to see maybe what I'm investigating the effectiveness of training facilities, of what they call these things now, of relaxation facilities for student use in a given setting, a tertiary institution, because those are some of the items that are actually checked when institutions go through accreditation. When you are doing institutional accreditation, they send people to come and look at the relaxation, the amusement, the physical health, physical education, all those training facilities that are available for students' use. So if I want to investigate the effectiveness of some of these sporting facilities, games facilities in an institution, I can choose to use the participant observant or non-participant observant style. And what will I do? If I am a participant observant, I will join the students. This is not evening. As from 4 o'clock, they begin to come out of their hostels. Those who are off campus begin to come. Some are on the field playing football. Some are playing basketball. Some lawn tennis. Some different things. Some are just lazing around. They just lie down, sit down on the field somewhere, and I come around and also put on my jersey, whatever, tracksuit, and if I see those who are running around field, maybe I also join them. And in the process, maybe I initiate discussions. Well, how is the thing? Or you like bad meeting or good meeting, as the case may be. Cricket, all those funny names. And you find out, go from group to group to be part of what they are doing. So the participant observer, he gets first-hand feeling of what is investigating. The non-participant observer is, I drive to the place and come out of my car and climb my bonnet and sit down. I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at those playing football. I'm looking at those playing this. I am a non-participant, but I'm making my notes, nevertheless. I'm making my notes. Maybe I engage one or two of them in some side talk. How do you like this thing? Do you think it's effective? Given the student population, do you think one football field is enough for everybody? And when you go to the sports center in the evening, for instance, Auchi Polytechnic Sports Center, you will see football being played in more than 3-4 places. Some are using the main pitch. Others, they have converted some corners to miniature football fields with goalposts and you see that everybody. So you interact. So I can do it as a non-participant observer, detached, stay at a corner, unobtrusive, I watch. Or I'm a participant observer, I am part of the things happening and make my notes. Then they say there's the one they say is concealed. There's a concealed observer.
Wherever I may be, once I hear your voice, wow. It's like you want to force me to go back to school again.
I'm happy you are in a tertiary education setting. Yes.
Thank you so much for all that you do always dish out to us.
Thank you very much.
I pray that they are able to fall on the ears of those that we judiciously utilize them.
Yes, we hope so too.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is your questionnaire.
Yes.
It's highly technical.
Yes.
It's far deeper than the way ordinary people see it.
Yes.
Far deeper than the way very many researchers see it. Because a good questionnaire is a stepping stone that a researcher uses to get whatever the information he or she wants to get.
You're right.
As a result, does analysis of the gathered data.
Yes.
Then findings come out from it.
Yes.
Without a good questionnaire, there isn't any way someone is going to arrive at valid findings. Not done.
You're right.
If there is a way people to say, you tutor fellow researchers, you tutor students on how to design good and pertinent questionnaire.
Yes.
It shouldn't just be good. It may be good, but not pertinent to the research question.
Yeah.
Study.
You're right. You're right.
So it must be good and pertinent to the goals
Yes.
of that research work.
You're correct.
So there was a short our seniors. So the guy met me in one of our lecturers' office. He was complaining bitterly. And sir, take a look what you said should be part of the report again. That's, the respondents.
Yes.
They fill the questionnaires.
Yes.
The thing is still happening. Sir, I took a look at the questionnaire. I was taken aback How can there are some things that you mustn't ask someone directly.
That's true.
Yes. But there is no way that person will furnish you with the actual information.
Yeah, right.
It's not done at all. Imagine you on a questionnaire, you're asking someone, have you ever abused drugs? What sort of dirty nonsense is that? the respondent you always think no.
Yes.
No.
I would say no. That's what you would put. That's true.
You understand?
Yes.
So, it's said for you to bring out the question. I mean, you structure the questionnaire in a way that you will make them feel at home. You make them have that open mind. Maybe by asking the person, where do you often get your drugs?
Yes.
Is it hospital? Is it through chemist, pharmacy?
Yes.
How do you adhere to the taking of your drugs?
Yes.
Do you do it religiously? Okay, among the following drugs, which one have you ever taken?
Yes.
We know paracetamol is always being taken normally every 6, 4, 8 hours, 3 times a day. So have you ever taken it just once in a day? Or more than, say, 4 times in a day?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So that the person may not actually know what the responses to this question is going to lead to.
Yes, that's true.
You understand?
That's true.
So, the design of questionnaires, sir, especially in the social sciences and the arts, the design matters.
It does.
I know very well we do still use questionnaires in the sciences.
Yes.
But depending on the research you are carrying out, you may decide it may never take you to the social gathering, the social society. You stay within the confinement of the laboratory.
That's true.
Yes. So now, sir, we must be able to tutor the researchers as well as students to know that effective questionnaire, it's a crux to the gathering of information that will lead to good research findings.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. That is my little contribution.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have your call in, to know that somebody is listening to us. Yes, what he has said is very important. You know, I have mentioned that you have to craft your questionnaire in such a way that it does not become invasive, so that once a respondent feels that you are seeking access to very sensitive personal information, it's going to give you an answer that protects himself. You don't design a questionnaire and asking me whether have you suffered from tuberculosis or are you taking treatment for AIDS. Even if I were, it's not on that paper that I'm going to say it. I will not tell you yes. So you're not likely to get anything accurate. But there are ways you can structure questions. Have you suffered from cough, mild, that lasted 1 week? How many days? What kind of treatment did you take? Things. And innocently and honestly, I answer you. Only you know where you are taking the issues to. So all of these things we put together. If you tie your questionnaire items, and we advise you so do, to specific variables or aspects of what you are going to test, particularly if you have research questions and hypotheses. If you don't tie them well, when it's time to test hypotheses, you are going to have issues. Because the questionnaire items actually provide the data that you use in determining whether you are accepting or you are rejecting a given hypothesis. Well, we are rounding off and just letting us know that if you choose to use observation, now we have mentioned how many of these things now. We have mentioned questionnaire, mentioned experiments, interviews, surveys, and observation. And for observation, I need to put this as we draw the curtain, that if you are using observation, you could, if you want to catch your respondents in their natural conditions unaffected by their realization that somebody is watching, then you become a concealed observant. In other words, you are watching, but the people are not aware you are doing it, because it has been established even in psychology and experience that once somebody is conscious that he is under observation, his behavior changes. Our young children now, they say you arrange. When you now notice that those people are looking at you as you are going, you now arrange. You arrange your movement. So in research, they call it reactance. In order to guide against reactance, which can vitiate the outcome of a research, you can choose to do concealed observation. You are watching the people, but they are not aware you are doing it. That's why you find people who stay inside their parked car and they are looking at the people they are watching. Those ones are not aware that somebody is in a car watching them, probably even filming them. So, there, students out there, I think we draw our curtains today. Hopefully, on Wednesday, we'll continue from where we are letting off today. Thank you and enjoy a beautiful Monday. See you next time.